Hello YouTube world, welcome back to my workshop. The project I'm going to do for you today is just a very simple little pencil pot. My brother came up recently, he'd done a job for somebody and out in his garden there was some cherry that had been undercover for, he said, about 3 or 4 years, so it'd be nice and dry to use. There are some small pieces and this piece I think would be very nice for a little pencil pot. So as you see, that's a piece of cherry. Once I've got it turned down, what I intend to do is use this. It is I think it was about 5mm bowl gauge. I found I never used it. So what I did is I turned it over at the end, ground it down, and I actually used it now as a beading tool. Quite a simple project, shouldn't take too long at all. So the first thing I'm going to do is just rough this down into a cylindrical shape. It's quite simple with this because cherry grows in quite a uniform shape, so it's quite round already. So it's really just a matter of taking off the outer bark and the inner bark, the Cambrian layer. Just taking that down so we get down to some of the heartwood. You can see on there, there's still a little bit of bark showing on there, so I just need to take it down a little bit more. So we're just taking the roughing gauge, just quickly stripping all of that away. And then what I'm going to do now, I'm just offering this pencil up just to give me some idea of how deep this wants to be. Obviously it needs to be deep enough to hold the pencil, but you still need part of the pencil sticking at the top. So that's the depth that I think I need to go to. And then what I've done, I've left quite a bit of wood on the bottom there because I want some weight at the bottom there. Because obviously the last thing I want is for the pencil pot to be tipping over every time somebody goes near it. So that I think will be the overall length or height. And I'm just going on in there now with a 1/4" parting off tool, and that's just my index where the bottom of the bowl will be. So I just need to make sure that I don't go any further than that when I turn it down. So now I'm back with a roughing gauge, and here, as I said before, I'm just going to turn the end over, just taper it down slightly, top and bottom, just to give it that classic barrel shape. Just a matter of roughing it away. Until we get to the desired shape. And now I'm just coming in with the skew chisel just to give that a planing cut across the top and then the sides, and that will give me a very nice finish. I don't need to sand this because once I go through with the beading tool I will be taking most of the top of that away, so sanding it all at this point would be a waste of everybody's time. So as I say, just going through the skew chisel, just give it a nice planing cut, and that does give the best finish. So just do that in one direction, going down, and then just take that. You can just see a hard line there where I'm stopping with the chisel, and once that takes away, that will just smooth that edge over. So just feel nice in the hand, there won't be a hard line there. So I'm quite happy with that. And now just turn it round and do the other end. Again, just a very nice planing cut. Let the bevel rub. It just gives it a very nice finish. So now it's given me the required shape. I'm just going to go in there with my beading tool, and I'll just do 2 or 3 at the actual speed, and then I'll speed it up and go down through. And you can just about see from the shape of my tool It gives you like the horseshoe shape, and it goes through. And all I have to do really is just, as you're looking at the tool on the left hand side, where that side of the bead, all I need to do is just drop that into the groove of the bead I've just cut, and then you get a lovely uniform bead right the way down through. And I'll just speed this up now, so you can just watch me do the rest of them. That's all the beads nicely cut, and now I'm going to go in with a piece of wire and just burn in between each one. I have done this before, people have seen me do it. It's just a piece of garden wire, and I've turned a toggle on each end. I've also opened up my workshop door, and I've turned the fan on just to let all the smoke go out the door. So that's really good. Quite pleased with that. Now just apply a little bit of sand sealer. I've gone to a brush now to get right down in all them joints. Seems to cover that very well. Good bit of cloth and we'll buff that up. Just give it a bit of wax. The problem is this: when you wax it, you're going to get wax down in those joints, and then when it goes off, it just goes all like white mush in there. So it's very important to get right in there with the cloth and polish all of that out. Nicely finished, nice polish. The grooves show up really well. Quite pleased with that. Now to hollowing. So I've turned the piece around. My pedal of lathe is running along there, and I turn that around there so it's easier for me to get in hollow. So I'm going to see what I'm doing. And what I've also used is, I think this was my big brother hollowing tool, and I had a ring cutter on the end, which I always struggled with for some reason. Obviously not using it properly. So I bought a piece of 16mm bar, which is the right size for that, ground the end down, and bought a carbide tip cutter for it, and then just drill and tap the end, which I intend to use today for the first time. So I'll be interested to see how I get on with this. gradually working that backwards and forwards. And just removing the wood. I don't know if you can pick that up from there, but if I just tip the tool over about 30 degrees, that cuts so much better through there. A lot more to see. I'll get back to you when it's finished. Roughly hollowed all that out with my hollowing tool, and now what I'm just going to do is go with my half round chisel and just clean it all up, see how far down I can get with this. I only take very shallow cuts because obviously once I get to that point there, I haven't got a lot of control over the chisel. Ideally what you want to do is have the tool rest around there. It gives you a great deal of control. When I'm up there, that's going to be bouncing about all over the place. So I just need to be very, very careful. Clean that out with a hoover. Anybody who regularly watches my videos will have heard me say this before, but when I first left school, I trained as an engineer, and one of the first things they always taught us was never ever use an air hose to clear stuff like that, because all you do, all that sawdust, that fine dust, you just blow it straight up into the air and then you're breathing it in. It doesn't take any longer to vacuum that out, and it's so much cleaner. It's lovely for that. It's quite thin. I don't want to go much further. Look, you can hear how thin it is. Much thinner than that, I'll start coming through the grooves. So I'll just get and sand that out inside of there. I never like to put my fingers in there to sand anything, so I made up some of these. There's a bit of velcro on there, or hook and loop, and then what I'll do, I'll just save my old, all the old ones like this, I save it, and I'll just cut the ends off. You tend to use this piece in there, and I'll just cut those end strips off and then just use them just to sand with, and it saves me having to put my fingers anywhere in there. And I always have these as well, just a piece of stick with a split in, and just wind that around, and then that sands. So ideal for sanding in there. I sanded right down to 600, so lovely and smooth in there. And I'm going to go back to the brush. Oh, there we go, YouTube world. Quite a nice little project. Doesn't take long to do. I mean, really, that's, you know, if you've got a small branch about that size, it does use up the scraps of wood, really. Nice little present for somebody. And I hate to mention it already, but Christmas is coming up soon, and if there's any woodturners out there watching this, these do make quite nice gifts, and they do sell quite easily. As I say, you can knock them out quite cheap out of scraps of wood, and don't take you very long to do, so you don't need to put much of a price on them, which makes them even more attractive, I think. So there we go, another product. I hope my brother likes this. I'll be going back to him as he supplied me with the wood. So there we go, YouTube world. As always, I've been Steve Howe, and like before, I wouldn't say this has been a great day, but it's been quite an enjoyable couple of hours. So thank you very much for watching. Goodbye.